this is just another reminder that we have a short video clip to look at. So again, enjoy.
These right here are what we call spikes, and these are sharp waves.
Neurofeedback, a scientific way of retraining the brain with accurate, real-time feedback.
If you've got an abnormal functioning of your brain, it is going to have an impact on your body.
It can come from a fall, a car accident, playing sports, a difficult birth, anything that causes a closed-head brain injury.
Symptoms will show up depending not only on how abnormally the brain is allocating its frequencies, but in what part of the brain is it doing that.
Dr. Penny Montgomery is considered one of the most prominent neurofeedback specialists in the world, serving as a consultant with Healing Unleashed.
We place the electrodes over specific lobes of the brain depending upon what the symptoms are.
By giving the brain instantaneous feedback of its own activity, it allows the brain to correct its own patterns that cause conditions like some forms of Alzheimer's, ADHD, dementia, and memory loss.
The reason the symptom is there is because the information is moving around in the brain too slow. It's a little bit like rebooting the brain or allowing it to reboot itself. And so the first step is to show the brain its firing pattern. It's like the brain is looking in an electronic mirror. It's seeing its own functioning for the first time. And the brain will utilize that information to correct the allocation of its electrical activity and normalize the function of that part of the brain, and the symptoms will go away.
Unfortunately, many of the neurofeedback machines out there can confuse the brain by giving back signals far too slowly. That's why Healing Unleashed only uses the more sophisticated real-time devices. After suffering some head injury earlier in life, neurofeedback has helped Leanne McElhaney deal with life more effectively.
Before I started neurofeedback, there were a lot of stresses and anxiety and things, between work and home. And after I started neurofeedback, it helped me level out my emotions and made life easier to deal with on a daily basis.
And while it's not traditionally taught in medical schools, more physicians are becoming aware of its stunning potential.
I remember an anesthesiologist in Texas who stopped practicing anesthesiology because they were so impressed with what they were able to do by simply retraining the brain.
A truly fascinating realm of possibilities at Healing Unleashed that could change the way the brain is prompted to heal itself.
Usually you talk about the techniques after the goals, but I went ahead and I talked about the techniques first. But the goals overall are to create mind-body balance. We know the mind has an impact on the body. If we're having a bad day or we're in a bad mood, we can have some negative ramifications on the body. For example, in terms of pain perception. Bad day, the pain feels worse. We also know if our body is having some problems, if there is some chronic pain-related issues, that can have an impact on our mental states. So mind-body balance is what biofeedback is all about. And towards that end, we want to create increased bodily awareness. So if I know what's going on at any given time, most of the time I'm walking around, I'm not realizing maybe I'm tensing up when the phone rings, or my body is actually in a state of tenseness throughout the day. If I can create greater awareness, recognize that that's going on, I can make some adjustments. And that's where the physiological control comes in. And biofeedback, again, can help me practice skills to help me relax and become more aware of what's going on and help me learn how to relax at a moment's notice. We also are focusing on an internal locus of control when we work on biofeedback modalities versus an external locus of control, like just taking a pill, for example. And I'm definitely not anti-medication. I'm very much a proponent for pharmacological interventions, especially with certain conditions. So I'm not anti-medication, but some people may have a preference to work on an internal locus of control focus where I feel like I'm controlling the outcome. And certainly this is one modality that really emphasizes that aspect. benefits, possible benefits, and certainly that's what we're hoping for in terms of overall goals, is that I can create some impact in certain areas, like creating greater relaxation states. So this is a good modality for anxiety-related complaints, like generalized anxiety, panic disorder, and so forth. It's also a modality that has been used quite successfully in terms of pain-related complaints, especially headaches, migraines, as well as tension-related headaches. It also is helpful, or has shown some evidence of being very helpful in terms of chemical addictions and a variety of other things, which we don't really have time to go over. But again, mind-body balance, internal locus of control towards that, and increased body awareness, and then using the physiological techniques that we've learned to create different physiological outcomes. I'm going to talk about one example that we focus on, presenting complaint that we focus on in terms of biofeedback modalities, and that's migraines. And the theory in terms of the origins of migraines, why migraines occur, is basically a vascular theory that still is held on to today, that was proposed back in the 1950s. And the theory basically indicates that, or suggests that something happens, some stressor comes into our life, and our norepinephrine levels rise. And we're kind of we start going into a fight or flight situation. And that might last for a bit, but as that's going on, what's happening in the brain is that the blood vessels are constricting. Well, eventually, the stressor hopefully alleviates, and the body releases some chemicals to try to get the blood vessels to go back to their normal level. But sometimes for some people, the blood vessels actually get larger than what they're supposed to do, and they actually start stimulating some of the surrounding pain receptors. And then we take medications to try to get the blood vessels back down to normal so that our migraines go away. That's kind of, in a nutshell, simplistically, what goes on with migraines. Well, with thermal biofeedback, we're looking at body temperature. We use that with migraines with a fair measure of success, depending on the person. And we'll get into that in a bit. But we attach a probe to the finger, and we try to teach people how to warm their extremities. And when you warm your extremities, you're dilating the blood vessels in the extremities. And when you're doing that, what you're doing is you're constricting the blood vessels in the brain. So remember, with migraines, the blood vessels have gotten too big. So we need to start constricting them. That's what the medications try to do, constrict them back to normal size. And that's what we're trying to do with warming our hands. We're trying to constrict the blood vessels in the brain back down to a normal size so that they're not stimulating the surrounding pain receptors, and thus, hopefully, the migraines go away. When I was in the military, we had an active biofeedback program, and that was our bread and butter, working with people with migraine headaches, migraines, I should just call them migraines, not migraine headaches, but migraines and tension-related headaches. And with migraines, we used thermal biofeedback. With my tension-related headaches, we used EMG. So anyway, that just gives you a little picture of what can take place. If we understand the dynamics going on in our body, we can line up the right type of biofeedback to hopefully have an impact on the presenting problem in a successful way. This is another point in the slide presentation where you can see a short video clip. Again, enjoy.
Before neurofeedback, I was so hyper.
So good. So how are things since last time?
Pretty good.
Yeah? Yeah? Sleep still good?
Yeah.
All right. School still good?
It's getting better.
All right, have a seat, Sam. Let's get you hooked up.
When they put the electrodes on me, it feels relaxing. And when I'm at the game, it feels like I'm really inside the game. All I just noticed is that I'm more focused during the session. But after a session, I feel great. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.
Alrighty.
After neurofeedback made me focus more, I was able to concentrate on what the teacher was saying, and I was able to figure out what to do. I was like, wait. When I was at home, it's like, oh wait. It's like, I can do this.
Sam has gone into 6th grade a completely different person.
I could focus more, I could write neat. Before I could not even read my writing. But with the neurofeedback, I'm able to read my writing. And I never knew I could write this neat.
He comes home from school and the first thing he does is his homework. And I don't ask him to. He wants to do it, he wants to get it out of the way. He's done it all on his own and his grades are fantastic. He's made honor roll both semesters and it's been good.
Tell me how baseball is different since you've been doing this brainwave training.
Well, I could focus more easily.
Okay.
And I could, I know what to do when I get the ball. And when I bat, I know where to go. I used to be a really bad sport. I was not good at sportsmanship. But now since I took neurofeedback, I don't care too much when I strike out. Even though I rarely strike out. My fielding is just unbelievable. I don't think I've ever been a better fielder than in my life. And I'm more confident. That's the most important part. Before I was so confident in myself. Before anything happened, I was like, no, I can't do this. But now, it has to take something really, really hard for that to happen. Now I can access more parts of my brain. It's opened up my mind to do more things. Before I thought I was just going to be a baseball player, I thought I could do nothing but be a baseball player. But now, since neurofeedback, it's helped me open my mind to more things. Like I could be an archaeologist, I could be a poet, which I like poetry. I could be a manager of baseball, I could be a sportscaster. I can do most things I set my mind to. Whoever's out there, even if they think they have the perfect brain, like Ace did, who cares? This may even make them better.